All right. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful sunny day out today. Christine Boland from Remax Ace. Told you I'm going to start this announcing because one of the biggest critiques I've gotten online is that I'm not announcing where our brokerage is or who I am doing this training, this wonderful training that we have at our brokerage. So welcome, welcome. Today we're going to talk about realtor safety. So I realized I hadn't done this topic yet since I moved to this brokerage. I think it's an important rule. Lots and lots of things I pass on to just daily when I'm speaking to other realtors, talking about meeting new people. Very important subject to keep safe in our industry because you never know what you're up against. I remember one time as a new agent, I had walked into a vacant property and I had a brand new client with me. And he's quite a tall gentleman. And there had been a death in the house. That was the disclosure on the property. There had been a death in the house. And he was kind of a joker guy. But as I walked in, I realized, oh, shoot, I'm in a vacant property with a client that I've never been with and I'm by myself, right? And he decided to scare me and go boom. At one point, I completely screamed because I was on edge. So you got to make sure that you don't get stuck in that situation. I'm a smart person, but I myself as a new agent got stuck in that situation. Luckily, worked in my favor. It wasn't he didn't do anything nefarious, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we're protected at the end of the day. Okay. So there's lots of tips and tricks. I'm going to go over this list loosely, and I want to go over some red flag checklists. Lots and lots of resources for us on TREB, Korea, for us to go over not only stuff to reading material, but a few courses that we can go and do. So Korea offers a couple courses, which I'll show you at the end of the training here today. Okay. So they say keep it light. I find this one's not always possible because we have a lot of clients that want to see things after work. You know what I mean? So it's not always nice. It's not always possible to show during the daytime. So it's like, it says if you're going to be working after hours, advise your associate, our supervisor, your schedule, your friend, your spouse, have something in place. Turn on all the lights as you go through and don't lower any shades or draw curtains or blinds. So try not to kind of trap yourself in the property. Checking in. So we talk a lot about checking in. When you have a new client, you want to vet your new client. So you want to sit there and you want to find out, sort of where they are, get some information on them. Don't just say, okay, hi, Joe. Yeah, you want to see my property at 123 Main Street. I'm going to meet you there tonight at 6. Great. See you there, Joe. Hang up the phone and meet Joe at the property, right? Because you don't know who Joe is. So what you want to do is you want to take down. So people might not necessarily, this suggests give them your driver's license, retain some of their information. They even talk about filling out a new client checklist with some information, personal information about that client. People don't necessarily want to give you that information over the phone, but when they're calling you to look at a listing for the first time, what they might be able to give you is obviously their phone number. They're going to record it. If not, if it comes unknown, I often say to them, hey, can I have your phone number in case anything changes? I can call you if I'm late, if I need to cancel or anything. So they'll give you that information. Also, if email address is very beneficial. So I can say to them, hey, let me email you some more information about the neighborhood, about the property, some excuse to get a little bit more information about that person. Because then when I was working alone most of the time, I could tell someone, let me just let this person in. I could tell, another colleague, your spouse, your friend, hey, I'm meeting a new client tonight. Here's some information on them, right? So don't be too public. This gets really difficult, especially since we are plastered all over the internet. It's very easy to find our information, our phone number, our email address at the very least. And most of the time, a snapshot of what we look like, right? Because they tell us as real estate agents to be more personable, to have our photo, our headshot out there. But the thing is that we're on the internet and we're widely known as, we're really recognizable, right? And then on top of that, it's easy to find our phone number and email address. So try to limit the amount of personal information you share. They say consider advertising without using your photograph. I say no. For marketing, it's not a good idea, but you want to be really careful about how you associate your accounts. Make sure that if you have Facebook pages, they're separate from your personal profile. So your personal profile should be locked and only people you invite to your page can come. If you have other social media like TikTok, Instagram, whatever you're using, make sure you're not putting out personal information about where you live, pictures of your kids, even that some things like the car you drive or a picture with you with a lot of jewelry on, that can be a red flag to a lot of people because they can say, hey, look at him. He's, posing beside his Lamborghini. He, must be doing really well. Let me go and rob this guy at his open house, right? So try not to give more information than necessary. You want to just be giving your basic contact information for people to get a hold of you as a realtor. Okay. So we talked about touching base. Always let someone know where you're going and when you'll be back. Leave the name, phone number of your client you're meeting, and schedule a time for your office to call and check in. So this is not always possible. They're not always going to call and check in on every single showing you're doing. But you know what I used to find really handy is that we always say you have a tip, a protective word or a tip word that you can use, right? So my husband always used to call me and say, hey, did the offer get accepted? If I was like, yes, yeah, everything was okay. No, right? So maybe you guys can come up with some code words you can use, like, hey, can you grab me that red file? Or something. If you want to call somebody and let them know that you're in trouble, have that sort of in play. So people know that not only have I given you my location, I'm at 123 Main Street, but I need you to grab me that red file. And then you can sort of be protected that way. Open house safety. So open house safety goes both ways. I think there's a whole little cheat sheet actually that I'll go over. So we'll just brush on this tip real quick here, and then we'll go over the open house safety more. So it ain't over till it's over. So the biggest thing is don't assume that everyone is left on the premises until the end of an open house. Check all of the rooms in the backyard prior to locking the doors and be prepared to defend yourself if necessary. So you have to be in control of your open house. There have been numerous, I don't know if you guys read a lot on the board. Obviously, I shared that tip recently just to kind of protect everybody because it's ongoing. But there has been lots of past stories that I've read about people getting attacked at their open house because they're not in control of their open house. You're not manning your door, right? So what you should be doing is you should be having people, okay, you know what? Please sign in. I'm just showing these people. As soon as you sign, I'll take you through. The worst thing you can do is you can be having, especially when you have a really busy open house and you have 20, 30 people walking through, you can't keep track of who is in what part of the house and who's left, right? So a lot of realtors, and it's not just women, like I always tend to focus this training session towards women, but a lot of realtors haven't realized that there's still someone in the house. And then you go to lock up and everybody's gone for the day. And that's the point that they attack the realtor, right? So you really want to make sure that when you man your open house, they're saying go ahead and check at the end of the open house that there's nobody there. But if there's somebody hiding, I mean, to me, it's already too late by that point. You want to have complete control of your open house and man who's going through. If you anticipate a really busy open house, take someone from your office, take a partner with you, ask a junior associate. A lot of these junior agents are starving to come and do open houses with everybody. They want the experience. Offer them at anybody they deal with, can be, their referral, and they'll come and they'll help you with your open house on a Saturday or Sunday if you anticipate it's going to be really, really busy, right? Because then they can help you and you can have two people walking people through at a time, and you can man your door better. Okay. Stranger danger. Tell your clients not to show homes by themselves. Alert them that not all agents, buyers, sellers who say they are who they say they are. Predators come in all shapes and sizes. We tell our children not to talk to strangers, so tell your sellers not to talk to strangers. So open house, not open house, a for sale sign on your lawn. Big thing. A lot of people knock on the door and say, hey, can I see your property? So we always direct our clients to say, if it's a realtor, direct them to us. It part and parcel because yes, we want the business to come through us. We want to know everything that's going on with that property. But a lot of people are seeing that for sale sign. People will use it as an opportunity to knock on the door and try and walk through the property. So if your client's not aware that this is actually a danger, they might think they're doing something nice or they're being helpful by saying, absolutely, come walk through the property. But you want to definitely be notifying them that not everybody who knocks on your door is a realtor, right? They might be posing as a realtor. They might be posing as a fake buyer. So definitely anybody who knocks on your client's door, you want to be notifying and telling your sellers that anybody who knocks on your door, say, no problem. Here's my real estate agent's card. Give them a call and they'd be happy to set up a time, right? It's not a safe thing to let them in through the door. Make sure that all your home's doors on the outside of the metal are solid. I don't know how you're going to make someone replace their door, but everybody should have a kind of a solid door to begin with. Block identity theft. Contact the fraud department of any of the 3 consumer reporting companies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion to place a fraud alert on your credit report. The fraud alert automatically lets credit card companies know and other creditors know. So we all know this. That's not really a big thing that happens to realtors on a regular basis. Keep track of your colleagues. Have a checkout employee board at your office listing your name, destination, customer name, date, and expected return time. So you don't necessarily need to do that. Now we have a really good recording. So your office, when you're booking appointments, it's all on your broker bay. They can see what showings you're doing, what appointments you have for your listings, what requests you're getting. All of that is recorded at the office. So there's a really good chance that if you find yourself in an awkward situation, you could call in and the front desk would probably know where you are just by looking at your broker bay. So, I mean, obviously 911 is the way to go if you're get into that situation, but you definitely can call the front desk and ask for some assistance. Okay. When we're going through properties, I often talk about, oh, let me just let someone in here. When we're going through properties, I often talk about locking the door when you get into the property. So people don't think about this. The first thing you should be doing is making sure that lockbox is well protected. You get the lockbox code for the property and you're going to enter it. So say it's, 7654, you enter the code. Once you take the key out of the lockbox, you should be entering the property. You should be closing the lockbox and scrambling that code for a couple of different reasons, right? You don't want the next person to see what the code is, okay? And then once you get in the door, you want to lock the door because you don't want somebody coming in after you. So the worst thing you could do is be showing the property on the second floor of a property, and somebody walks in on the main floor because you left the door open. Now, I've had this happen early on in my career, and it scared me. Luckily, it was only another realtor coming in, or maybe another person who was interested in the property who saw that we had walked in and it was being shown, and they wanted to get a viewing of the property as well. But you have to keep in mind that it's not always a friendly person coming in that door. So, like I say, you're going to open the lockbox, take your key out. When you close it, scramble the code. Go inside the door. You're going to close the door and you're going to lock the door. Right? Lock the door. You're going to do your showing inside. If somebody wants to talk to you, if another realtor comes to the door to do their showing, or if another buyer comes and they want a viewing of the property, they're going to end up knocking on the door, right? And then you have control of that situation. You can go to the door and not be, scared that somebody just walked into the property on their own. When you leave a property, you're going to do the same thing. When you open the lockbox, you have to close it and you have to scramble the code again. I have been surprised how many times I go up to a lockbox and the code is in there already. Have you guys experienced this where you get up to a lockbox and the code's already punched in? So the last realtor didn't scramble the code. Okay. This is extremely dangerous. And you guys can get fined for this on top of that, aside from it being dangerous. Lockbox codes are an extreme responsibility of realtors, right? Because what we're doing is you're gaining access to somebody's home, somebody's dwelling, where they live, where they feel safe, right? If you are not scrambling that code, you are not only letting other realtors not, open it up and say, oh, they didn't scramble the code, but anybody who walks by that lockbox, any stranger who comes up to that lockbox knows the code and can automatically open it, right? And they know the code for future reference. Even if they don't open it at that point in time, they know the code and they can share the code. So absolutely do not share that lockbox code. A lot of people are also sharing it with their clients, or if it's your best friend and you go, oh, I really, really trust them, I'm going to give them the code. Big no-no, big safety issue, and also a huge fine from the board. Huge fine. Okay. So don't be very, very careful with that lockbox. Always make it a habit to scramble that code. Even if you're going in for your showing and you're going to come back in 5 minutes and put that key right back in the lockbox, take the time to scramble the code, because someone can run up, look at the code, walk away and use it at a later time. Okay. And the lockbox seems like such a simple thing, but it's such a huge, huge responsibility on our part. Just think about what we have to do to get a lockbox code released to us, right? You have to verify that you're an agent, either through your broker bay, or you have to call that brokerage, and you have to verify all your information and what brokerage you're from. Then that brokerage contacts the other brokerage, and then the lockbox code gets released to you. So there's a couple of layers of security, and you should be really, really careful with that lockbox code. It's a huge responsibility on your part. Right? Wear your Realtor ID. So always wear visible company identification, such as a badge. It's also best to drive a vehicle clearly marked. Yes and no. Again, I mean, they say that it's good and it's safety, so people know that we're working and that's, who we are kind of thing. If anything happens, they can see visibly that our vehicles are marked and stuff. But I find also, just as a working agent, a lot of our clients don't like us showing up with logos on our cars and that because they don't necessarily want the neighbors to know the information that they're going to sell the property, or it doesn't bode well for me. So that's why I don't logo my vehicle. So anyways, up in the air on that. Bring up the rear. So this is another one. So when showing a home, always have your prospect walk in front of you. Don't lead them, but rather direct them from a position slightly behind. You can gesture them to go ahead and say, for example, the master suite is in the back of the house. Okay. So this is a very big habit of mine. I don't think they provide in the orientation. Do they still do, you're a newer agent. In the orientation, do they still do realtor safety when you do the 90-day course? Do they cover realtor safety?
Yeah, I think yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember, like, even as long ago, this is one of the things that stuck in my mind. I thought, oh my God, it makes perfect sense. If you're walking in front of your client and they're behind you, they can do anything behind you. You don't know. You're trusting them walking behind you, right? So as a habit, while showing houses over the years, I've always been in the habit of, oh no, you go ahead. Oh no, you go ahead. And I let them walk ahead of me all the time, all the time. Nobody's behind me, walking behind. And I make it look like a polite gesture more than anything, right? That they're walking in front of you. So pick up some self-defense skills. When I was going over this to do training for this morning, I was laughing and I was thinking, you know what? I wonder if we could do a little Remax Ace karate school or something. Go, have just like a little, 1 or 2 day tutorial of a few basic moves. You know what I mean? I think that would be something interesting just for our realtors if we did that one day. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. Maybe I'll bring it up because I know they do it in lots of other offices, right? They might do like a half day or a couple hours course on a few basic self-defense moves that you can use if you ever do get into any kind of trouble. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad idea, right? All right. So you take the wheel. Whenever possible, take your own car to a showing. When you leave your car, lock it. So same thing like if you go into Walmart to do your shopping, you lock your car because if you come back to your car, you don't know who's crawled into the back of your car or your trunk or whatever. You taking the wheel gives you, the control of that. You're not hopping into your client's car being taken somewhere, it's under your control. You have to make sure everything's under your control. Also, they probably cover this tip later on, but just while we're talking about your vehicle, very often they say, do not park in the driveway. Do not park in the driveway. Okay. That's a very easy way to get blocked in. Your client can easily come and pull in behind you. And we're talking, most of the time when you don't know the client, this is a client you've worked with for years and years and years, you can park in the driveway, fine. But we're working most of the time with people that are calling us off our listings. We don't necessarily know them. If you pull in the driveway and the client pulls behind you, what's your exit strategy? Right? You always want to make sure that your vehicle is free and clear. So I always, again, make it look like a polite thing. Shiraz is used to me. That's why he's smiling at me right now. I always make it look like a polite gesture and we say, oh, no, you guys take the driveway. It's okay. You can pull in the driveway and we park on the street and we walk up because you don't know, right? At the end of the day. Shield your computer from email viruses. So we know we're very easily hacked. I mean, it's a no-brainer just from the amount of spam that we get. And that's just the nature of the game because our information is everywhere online. We can't help that, right? Got cell service everywhere. When you're showing commercial property, thick walls, concrete walls are not your friend, remote locations, cottage country, right? Interfering with your mobile reception. Check in advance to be sure your phone is serviceable in the area which you're showing the property, which isn't always possible. If you're like me, I'm very often up north somewhere, cell service sucks, but you kind of want to be aware of that ahead of time. So if you are aware that you're going to go and you're showing Kawartha Lakes today, or you're going up to Muskoka to show some cottages, you might consider just taking a friend with you and saying, hey, like if this person buys today, I'll share a bit. You want to come for a drive with me today and take a colleague with you, right? I mean, what's it worth at the end of the day? Everybody thinking of a big commission at the end of the day, but your safety is the utmost importance. So just consider where you're going and what you're doing and make sure that your cell phone service is working, right? Flight or fight, obviously. Flight, run, get out of there as fast as you can. Or call for help if you can. Who's calling? Caller ID, install caller ID on your phone. We all have caller ID now, but I was talking about very often people are blocking the number or it's coming out unknown caller. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're asking for that information. And again, you don't want to just say, "Lo, I need your information," because you're coming up, unblocked number or whatever. I just say, "Hey, what's the best number to contact you at in case anything changes or if I need to cancel or whatever." So your trash is another man's treasure. This is a good thing to tell our sellers because very often they're trying to fix up the house. They might put, new furniture in, new fridge, new TV, just to make the house a little more alluring for the purchaser, to help stage the property or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that they're not putting those big box items to the curb because people are watching this happen. And then a lot of those houses get targeted for those big ticket items. So I was actually just talking to a mortgage guy last night, and we were talking about how funny it is right now because I forget the exact stats, but they were saying the amount of break-in crimes and car crimes, like car theft crimes that happened the entire year last year, we're already at that number for the first 3 months of this year. So this is a big indicator of how our economy is right now. Everybody's in a very tight situation. Those mortgage rates, they're paused, but they're still up. People are squeezed, in every way. Rent is way up. Groceries are high. We just got carbon tax through the wazoo, right? So, we're finding this is very, very, so this is more something to tell your clients than ever. If you're buying those big ticket items, your house might get targeted, right? So what you want to do is you make sure you're not putting those boxes at the curb so people can see that that's, you're going to break them up or take them to the dump or something, because they're going to see that you just put those things in your house, right? And God forbid you're the one doing the open house and they know that that's going to be the person coming through the door because they don't even have to break in at that point. They're going to come to your open house, right? So hide your personal information, okay? Agree on an office distress code. Again, another interesting thing. I never really thought about this. We could install one. Like you say, if we call the front desk and say, can you grab me the red file? Maybe everybody should know that that's a code because they can check on your broker bay where you are, what showing you're doing, right? Everybody has, now that everything's online and now that everything's when we were doing real estate, we got our licenses, a long time ago. Everything was on paper and you had, a book and you have to call and do your showing and nobody had record of this, but we're really protected now because everybody has record of where we are. So if you can call, get a hold of the front desk and say something, maybe we should consider a distress code just for the safety of our agents because they'll know where you are. Have an excuse ready. So this has actually gotten me out of awkward situations. I actually laugh with my sister-in-law. She was in an awkward situation once, not necessarily that she felt threatened, but I'll tell you the funny story real quick. She was with a person, she was showing them properties, and she realized that this person was just targeting I guess vacant properties or high-end properties that she thought that she could steal medicines from because she said the person was going to the washroom in the first property and then she told her, well, you can't really go to the washroom, we're doing a showing. And then the second property she wanted to do it again. She thought, why does this person keep on wanting to go? And then she got a bad feeling that maybe she's going through the medicine cabinets. Anyways, long story short, have an excuse ready. She was like, oh my God, you know what? I'm really late. I forgot to take my kids for their lesson. Have an excuse ready. I find the best excuse, pardon me, the best excuse that I could use is if I'm talking to somebody and I get in an awkward situation, I always try to draw them outside because when you're outside, you're safer, right? So if they're talking to me about something and I'm getting a creep feeling, I will say, hey, you know what? My laptop's in my car. Come, let's go check that out. You know what I mean? And I try to draw this person out of the property and I start walking, right? So try to get them out of the property. So they say, prepare a scenario in advance that you can leave. You can encourage somebody who makes you uncomfortable to leave. You want to encourage to get out of the property. So your cell phone pager went off. You have to call your office. You left some important information in your car, or another agent with buyers is on the way. So you can say, oh my God, we really got to leave because the next appointment's coming now. We've got to go and our time's over. Let's go outside to the driveway and talk, right? You want to get out of the property. Take 2 seconds when you arrive at your destination to check out potential dangers. So is there any questionable activity happening in the area? Are you parked in a well-lit, visible location? can you be blocked in the driveway by another vehicle? So that's again parking behind. Actually, this 2-second thing, they have a 10-second, 10-second. I'll go over right now. I might flip to that right now. But just a little more point on this. It made me think also, there's been times when you talk about questionable activity in the area. So sometimes we're drawn to areas that aren't very nice. We just know that we're drawn, like, sometimes we have to do a showing, in certain areas that aren't very safe. You guys have to make sure that you are looking at your surroundings as well. It's not always your clients that you have to be weary of. I know very often, again, early on in my real estate career, I'd be by myself and I'd be in the West End and I'd be showing some townhouses, which I, won't name here online while I'm being recorded, but questionable areas where people would, catcall or try to talk to you, or, like people in the hallways hanging around smoking, different things. So again, if it's not that you don't necessarily want to sell the product, but again, if you know you're going to an area that is going to make you uncomfortable because maybe there's higher crime or maybe it's a sketchier area, again, consider bringing a colleague with you, right? Let me go see if I can grab this 10-second. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any stories you guys want to tell me about a situation you've ever been in? Or maybe something you could have avoided. Maybe you realized you had made a mistake, met a client that you hadn't got enough information on yet.
Like if you have multiple units to show in the same building,
Yeah.
sometimes I end up in putting the key in the wrong key lockbox.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful.
Sometimes I have to show like 6 to 7 property in the same building, right?
Yeah.
Some condos for lease, so I want to, and then it's hard. Some condos.
I always do like the finger thing. So I'm like, okay, if it's like lowest to highest, I don't know if this will help you, but this is just my tip, okay? And he knows too, because I'll still do it. Now we do it together. I'm like, okay, you've got the 7th floor, I've got the first floor in my hand, so we don't screw it up. But if I'm alone, I'll always do like pinky smallest, so I'll do lowest to highest. So I know I'm showing unit 101, 303, and 7. So I'll hang 101 on my pinky, 303 on my next one, and then, you know what I mean?
Alright.
So I know lowest to highest, that's where I put the keys. See if that helps you.
I have a bias, then I'll give it to them each one. Like,
but again, see, don't tell Rico that because you're gonna get fined. You're not supposed to put the key in the buyer's hand.
Not a code, but I will just give it to them until
I know, until you can open the door, yeah. But try it. I do the hand thing. I do it on my fingers, lowest to highest. And I have the habit of putting the key rings on there and holding it like that. That I know this is the lower floor. I put it back. I know because I know over the years I've gotten to the lockbox before as a new agent and I've been like, which key goes where? So that's okay. I've had guys walk away with my keys. Agents walk away with my keys in their pocket. They put it in their pocket and then they finish up with their client and then they leave the building. And I'm like, where's my key? The next agent's there. There's nothing in the lockbox, right?
Recently, there's a one building here in Antrim Crescent.
Yep.
I booked it. I went there. The key is missing.
Yeah. Yeah. Realtors walk away with it on the regular. So I know you gotta be careful. So I like this better than the 2-second rule it was talking about. 10-second rule for personal safety. And this just isn't for real estate. This is just regular, but I mean, it's more so because we're constantly getting in and out of our car and we're constantly meeting strangers all day, right? So take 10 seconds when you arrive at your destination. Is there questionable activity in the area? Are you parked in a well-lit, visible location? Again, something to think of because I've done this thing where I've parked somewhere, and it's dusky. I do my showing for a half hour or so, or maybe a couple units. Like you say, I come back and it's totally dark. And then I'm like running to the car, right? So make sure you're parked in a well-lit space. Can you be blocked in the driveway or by a prospect's vehicle? So can your car be blocked in? Not if you park on the street most of the time, right? Take 10 seconds after you step out of the car. So when do most carjackings happen? They say we're most distracted when we're getting in and out of our car. So when we're getting out, we're grabbing, well, in our, ladies' case, most time the purse, but you guys a wallet, keys, your water bottle, whatever you're grabbing, getting out of the car. When you're getting back in, you usually have, your bags that you bought, stuff in your hand. So you're getting back in the car. So those are the 2 most crucial times to be aware, right? So take 10 seconds after you step out of your car. Are there suspicious people around? Do you know exactly where you're going? So have you guys ever been into a townhouse complex and you parked here and then you're walking for 15 minutes and you realize, oh shoot, I should have parked here. because the unit number 10 is actually over here. So try to arrive that 5 minutes ahead of time. Not only do you save your energy, but it's for safety reasons too, instead of walking through the whole complex. Circle around and say, oh, unit 10 is here. Okay, maybe this is the best place to park, right? Be familiar with where you're going. So take 10 seconds as you walk towards your destination. Are people coming and going, or is the area unusually quiet? Do you observe any obstacles or hiding places in the parking lot or along the street? Is anyone loitering in the area, right? Take 10 seconds at the door. Do you have an uneasy feeling as you're walking in? Is somebody following you? Is there somebody right behind you while you're opening the lockbox? Check and see where you're going, right? Be aware of your situation. 10 seconds as soon as you enter your destination. Does anything seem out of place? Is anyone there who shouldn't be? Is someone there who isn't expected? So those are kind of our rules there. And then, you're going to do them backwards. You're going to walk out of the property, put your lockbox on, take a look around, walk to your vehicle. If I'm alone, I have the habit, I always peek in my windows before I get in. It doesn't have to be obnoxious walk of the car, but you at least want to be a little bit aware before you walk in. Open your door, close your door, lock your door, leave. Don't close your door and start texting your client or looking at your next listing. Lock your door first, right? Because you might think, oh, nothing's going to happen to me. It's a nice area. I'm in Dorset Park. I'm just showing houses here. But that somebody sees that for sale sign. They know there's realtors coming and going. You don't know who's watching that property and watching you go in and waiting for you to come back out. And the 2 seconds it takes you to lock your door before you actually start getting distracted with your phone or your listing or calling your next client or making your next appointment, can be very detrimental to you. So just make sure that you're checking that and taking care of yourself. So there's lots and lots we can go over. I'll keep on going over more stuff. I just wanted to bring your guys' attention to these red flag checklists. So they're really great. They're a resource. You can find it on when you log into your MLS. But we'll just take a quick look at them real quick. So they're red flag checklists for us to go over for safety and for the protection of our clients. And they go over a bunch of different things. So for instance, this red flag checklist is about grow houses. So even if you don't know exactly what you're doing or what to look for, you can go over this checklist and say, okay, is there mold in the corners where the walls and ceilings meet, right? Painted concrete floors in the basement with circular marks. So where a bunch of pots were, evidence of tampering with the electrical meter or the ground around it. Evidence of windows and doors having been sealed because they're trying to contain that moisture in the house. Anyways, I won't go over the whole thing, but they have them on different topics. So they have it on grow houses. They have it on identity theft. So for instance, a creditor informs you that an application for credit was received with your name, address, which you did not apply for. So if you hear these things from your clients for yourself, to look out for them. These are common things that we deal with. So grow houses, identity theft, money laundering. So how to identify if money laundering is happening? Is your client showing up with a suitcase of cash? That's a big indicator. We don't accept cash generally in our business because we're always dealing with large amounts. So don't be taking any suitcases. Mortgage fraud, how to identify if mortgage fraud is happening. And this is protecting ourselves, not necessarily our immediate physical safety, but our safety going forward with our business, because you have to be very careful, because even though you say, well, it's not me committing mortgage fraud, or it's not me committing identity theft or the grow house that my seller has been doing, right? I'm going to step away from it. You were intimate in that transaction. So you are as implicated as anybody, because it's supposed to be our due diligence to be looking over these things and making sure that they're not happening. And if they are, then we're supposed to be reporting them, right? So you have to be aware of what the red flags are, because the worst thing you can do is say, I didn't know. As a real estate agent, we have a higher not due diligence. We have a higher, what's the word I'm looking for? People are going to blame us more because we can't plead ignorance, right? That we didn't know. So good idea to look over these cheat sheets. They're available. If you guys, maybe if you guys want me to send them out, I can send them out as well, but they're available when you log in, to your Toronto Real Estate Board there, to your MLS. And they have a quick realtor safety tip. So probably a lot of the ones I went over here Showing a property, insist on meeting at your office. So you can do, you know, meet at your office for a new person. Always take your own or separate cars. Tell people where you are. Saleswomen should be wary of male buyers who only work with a female. Sure. Yeah, that's like that one that I sent out in the WhatsApp chat. He was only calling the female realtors, right? Large condominium complexes, be wary of isolated areas. Oh, yeah. So I guess, you know, if you're showing a large condominium complex, they're saying like if you go to the isolated areas such as laundry chutes, supply rooms, garbage room, maybe the gym at night when nobody's using it, you know, the pool, just be wary of those areas where it's not necessarily, you know, they have a lot of people there right now. If you're showing several properties, phone your office occasionally to check in. Well, you can, you know, if you want to call and talk to whoever's sitting there at the front desk. Consider not including photos on your business cards. I wouldn't advise that. Consider listing only office addresses. So this is a thing, you know what I mean? Like if you listing an address or your phone number, you're welcome to list only the office or the office phone number or the office address if you're uncomfortable listing your own number. I have a terrible time, and Shiraz has laughed at me over the years. I tell him I used to do this thing. I used to call it advertise and exercise. So I'd walk and I deliver my flyers, right? Because I thought, okay, well, you know, new agent starting off, not a big marketing budget, and I do this thing. And I swear, I'll show you guys. It's funny. It's a swear word, so I can't really say it on here, but I named the guy on my phone. You know what I mean? A name. Because every single time I delivered those flyers, I'd get calls in the middle of the night. Every single time without fail. And I thought, how scary. So like you have to be careful, even though I'm not doing a showing and I'm not meeting a new client, all I'm doing is handing out marketing material. And I'm thinking I'm exercising a little bit and I'm advertising while I'm putting it in people's mailboxes. But how scary it is that I'm walking up to that person's door who's calling me now in the middle of the night every time, right? And I pegged the area out that it was. I know exactly what area it was, right? Because you can only walk so much in a day, right? So be mindful, even if you're door knocking, even if you're just handing out marketing material, you're handing out flyers, you're putting it in people's mailboxes. It can be a risk to us as well, right? And then obviously we have the same problem mailmen have. You got to watch out for pets, dogs coming around the corner to come bark at you when you're doing that. But definitely, something to think about as well. Not only showings. Yeah, for sure. I'd love to hear it.
30 Meadowglen Place, right?
Yeah.
Once we got locked in actually because I taken a wrong exit to come out of the concert. Instead of that, I'm taking another one. Luckily, I think somebody came from a different stage and they opened us, and then the security guy came in.
Got locked in the stairwell, you mean? Yeah.
You got to be very careful with apartments. Like
very careful. So habit, sometimes the lockbox is in the stairwell. So I always go open the door, check the handle from the other side, and then let it close. Or I just ask my client to hold it open.
Yeah.
Right. I say, hey, can you hold that for a second? I just got to grab the key. Right. Because you're going to get locked in the stairwell. I got locked out of a house once. It wasn't really, I guess, a big safety issue for me, but my client had put her purse down on the counter. One and only time. Now I jinx myself, I'm going to get locked out again. But we went out to show the backyard and the door closed behind us and it's locked, right? And it was a really high-end house. It was like, at the time, we're talking like 15, 16 years ago, and it was almost 2 million, which is a lot back then. And, you know, she had put her nice fancy purse on. She wasn't about to leave it on the counter. And I was like, oh God, what do we do? So I had to call the listing agent to come bust us out of the property. But yeah, definitely. Like I say, it's not only showings that you're doing. So, what time do we have here? 11:15. I'm going to go here real quick into, just to show you the resource we have. So if you go into Korea, and you can get, into Korea through your login when you log into MLS, right? It says here, Korea prioritizes realtor safety with new e-learning courses. They have a couple of e-learning courses that you can take. I haven't personally taken them yet. I might be a good idea though, as a refresher. Because like I was saying to Yama there, I don't know as a newer agent if they're still providing it in the orientation, but I remember they gave you like a little realtor safety course. Very preliminary, but something realtor safety. In our orientation. But if you need a refresher and you've been in the business for a long time, or if you just want to hear some good tips, They have a couple in here. So they have module 1, navigating realtor safety. And then they have raising cybersecurity awareness. So has anybody taken these courses or taken a look at them? No? I'm going to try and take them in the next couple weeks. So I'll let you know, guys know if I learn anything new and exciting about realtor safety in that. I'm going to go back here though, just to make sure I haven't forgotten. I feel like there's so much on this topic. Honestly, it's never ending. Like there is a ton of stuff that we can do and a ton of situations. I know there's a lot of case studies. I know if you guys look at the hold on, let me go here. The Career Realtor Safety Guide. I believe at the end of this, they have a bunch of scenarios that you can go over. 1 second here. Yeah, see, so they have a bunch of scenarios. So, I mean, they always say that, you know, when I talk about going over scripts and dialogues for our business, it's super important. Sometimes you feel really silly going, hi, my name is Christine. I'm from RE/MAX ACE and I want to sell your property. But the importance of practicing that is so you don't stumble, right? So you sound fluid in your business. So you sound like you know what you're talking about. So that's in order for you to get that listing or get that buyer client. So you know how to respond to them when they give you an objective, right? Safety is the same thing, right? The reason why I'm in those habits of locking, you know, scrambling a lockbox, locking the front door, not parking behind, always letting the client, is because I don't want to get caught up in a situation. I've been through it at the beginning of my career, you know, and I'm trying to avoid anybody making that same mistake where you get caught and you're like, oh, I'm scared and I'm a little nervous and I got myself in a bit of a situation, right? So, I mean, it's not silly to go over and read these scenarios and say, you know, what would your answer be? Because if you get into that situation, God forbid, you're going to go, oh, I know what to do here. I feel really awkward. Hey, would you like to come to my car? I have my laptop there. I'd love to show you a couple things. Oh my God, the next agent's coming. We've got to get out of the house. Or, you know, whatever the case may be, you kind of know how to react to the situation. So really, really good. Korea has some of those scenarios at the end of their checklist there, or at the end of their article here. They talk a little bit about preparing for open houses. So like I say, open houses and meeting new clients are definitely the biggest areas of concern for when you're talking about realtor safety, because those are the times where we're meeting unknown people. So open houses, unknown people are walking through the door multiples at a time, right? When you have a listing or you have someone just calling you off of any listing and you're showing a new buyer that you're meeting somebody you don't know for the first time. So you definitely want to have some things in place for that. I wanted to mention too, there are apps available online. I personally don't have one downloaded now because I don't work alone most of the time, but they weren't available back in the day when I was working alone, but they're on, and I looked them up there. There are a couple of like panic button apps that you can have them open and you can hit them and they're connected to either like your emergency contacts or to 911. So they're a little easier and a little less obvious than grabbing your phone and going to your phone and dialing 911 if you feel like you're in an emergency situation. So you can go and download those apps on your phone and just have them open during your showings as well, to keep yourself protected that way. Anything else? Has anybody else been in a situation? You guys are so quiet online. You're so good online. Let me know. Have you guys, especially some of you women there, some of you newer agents, like, have you encountered any situations?
My friend went to showing in west side.
Yeah.
Then I don't know, the tenants or the landlord, they took the V.
Yeah.
They were sleeping in the bed in awkward situation.
Oh, awkward. I remember I had a seller. It was a overseas seller. She's from England. And she had a property at Warden and St. Clair on Fairfax. Detached property. I sold it. I think it was 2646 Fairfax. You guys can look up my sale there. And she says, okay, well, you know, we have to go serve the tenants. I want to sell the property now, right? So I went to go serve the tenants and I could have kicked myself because I wasn't a new agent this time, but you just think you're doing something all the time. I'm going to go serve the tenant, go to the front door, serve them the notice, you know, to get out, whatever, 60 days. And I walked and I knocked to the door and they were in the backyard. So they said, come around. And I walked around the backyard all by and I was after work. So I'm dressed in my little heels and everything. And I walked to the backyard and I swear it was a bunch of again, not stereotyping because I know I'm online, but it was a bunch of biker dudes, you know, beards, big burly guys, all sitting in the backyard drinking beer. And I walked and I kind of just went, oh, I'm so dumb. Like I shouldn't be doing something so dumb at this stage of my career, right? Like, you know, and so I was like, okay. And I served them the notice and he was like, oh, okay, fine. And they were kind of grumbling about it. Well, the landlord didn't tell us. And you know, I kind of made that situation okay. And luckily they were fairly nice. Mind you, when I started showing the property, the inside, you know, like you were saying, had bongs and like craziness stuff inside, awful to sell. But at that moment when I walked in that backyard, I thought, what did I do? What am I doing? You know, I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I just thought after work, I'll go serve this and go home. So you have to be really mindful. Sometimes you'll get caught in that situation, right? So it's really, really important that you try to put as many safety precautions in place as you can while you're doing showings, because you will get caught in that situation, right? And you just want to know what to do and how to protect yourself at the end of the day. There's a million things I can go over. You can see they're talking about what to do if a predator gets in your car, safety at the office, you know, especially if you guys are here late at night. You guys know we have the key to get in and out. Don't be giving your friends the keys. Don't be giving your friends codes. You know, don't be letting people in through unless you know them. If you're here late at night and everybody else is gone for the day. Staff is here until 9, but after 9, you know, you guys have 24-hour access to the brokerage. It's not unheard of that I've come here at 11 o'clock at night and there's other agents working, right? So just make sure that you know who you're letting in, you know, and you're not alone here if you're letting someone in you don't know. So just be really careful with that. Everybody good online?
Yeah,
Nobody
good.
has a... Hi, Prabhakar, how are you?
I'm good.
Have you had any stories?
No stress. The last time when I was showing, there was an agent waiting outside. He was just coming in. And what to say? The first thing he asked me key, I just gave him the key, but I forgot to get his card. Then after some time,
No.
okay,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, we should get the card. And then I asked him the card and got the card and came out.
Yeah. So really, really good thing. And I didn't touch on that. So safety, like we were talking about the fact that that lockbox is such a high priority sacred thing that we're trusted with as realtors, because that's the key to someone's house, right? You can't just walk out the door and have someone walk in. There's a lot of good scam artists out there. Hey, yeah, no, I'm with Home Life. You know, give me the key, pass the key, walk in, you walk. They go rob the whole house. You don't know. You're the last person on there on the schedule for the showing. So you're responsible. So definitely you have to do one of two things. If they don't have a card on them, it kind of looks like a mean move, but you put the key back in the lockbox. If they're an agent, they have the code, right? So I've done that before, and I've had agents get annoyed at me, but I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do, right? You got the code, you got the code. So I put it back in the lockbox and you say you have the code, right? Okay, and I close up the lockbox and walk away, right? If not, then you at least want to take their card, because at least you know that they're an agent. And if somebody says, hey, you were the last appointment on there, you're going to say, well, Shiraz Shibli from Remax Ace walked in right after me and I gave him the key. At least you know who you gave the key to, right? So be very, very careful with keys and lock boxes. People take for granted. I have a whole training that I do on lock boxes. I think I did it once here. Attendance is always low when I do lockbox training or when I do RICO rules and registration, because nobody wants to hear that. It sounds boring, but very important to follow. You can get hugely fined for it as an agent, right?
And one more question on that. If we have a photo on the business card, we can identify them. But suppose there is no any photo in the business card,
Then I'd put it in the lockbox. You know what I mean? I don't care. Like I've had agents get grumpy with me and be like, "Ugh," you know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal? 2 seconds to open it again. Like it's my license. I will say it's my license on the line. It's not, theirs. If they're an agent, fine, no problem. But if I give it to someone wrong, it's my license on the line, right? So I'm going to put it back in the lockbox. I don't care, right?
That's what I did recently.
Yeah.
I told them to show the lock code in the email.
Yeah.
They're still figuring it out. Where is it?
It's when you find it, here you go. Take it out. I got to go. Bounce. That's not your problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, put it back in the lockbox.
Better put it inside and lock it.
Exactly. Then you're
went to one showing.
Yeah.
So I knew something. And then suddenly one guy came waiting outside.
Yeah.
And then my showing guy, the buyer,
Yeah.
he let in. I said, wait. After and he said, daughter's house and he's daddy. I don't care. Then I called the life agent.
Yeah.
Said, here's the man. I'm in and it's also. And he said, okay.
Mhm.
And he still, I asked him, I can put it back in the lockbox key.
Yeah.
And he say also do what you do. But the guy already inside, he tell me, do whatever I do. What can I say? But it's safety, like agent talking. Okay,
Yeah. You don't care what anybody says to you. You're the agent.
Yeah.
You've got that code to your phone. You're responsible for your time. If you leave, if you don't forget the lockbox, lock the doors, right? Turn the lights off. Reset the alarm if that's the what you're whatever you're showing the instructions you do, whatever you did, undo and walk out of that house. So always check. And the thing is that we double check, right? So I'm on the main floor, we show the backyard. Okay, fine, no problem. Now we go in the basement. I come back up, they're walking out the front door, putting on the shoes. I walk to the back door again. I'm checking the sliding door. You make sure all the lights are off. You walk out the door, you put the key in the lockbox, you scramble the code, you go back in your car, right? Because that's somebody's home at the end of the day, right? And it's not a laughing matter. Like when they find doors open, lights on, not so much. People do get in trouble for, but doors open, definitely. Lockboxes not shut properly. Especially in the winter, lockboxes stick. Sometimes they don't click close. That's why you should scramble it, because when you click it close, then you can scramble it, right? So you want to make sure that it's really locked up and everything's secure.
Yeah, sometimes like it when the agent behind them, but sometimes they don't like it. They don't like it or their convenience. But
Yeah.
what happened sometimes downstairs basement,
Mhm.
unlock the door of the backyard. You know, we all get careful. You know.
Yeah, you have to be careful because clients open things on you too, and you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't know if they open the patio door or they open the, like you say, like the base door if there's a walkout or something like that, right? Yeah, exactly. No, clients do crazy things. I always remember when I was a new agent, I'd heard like, don't leave the door open and like turn the lights off because you can get in trouble for this. And I'm so nervous. I'm walking through with somebody and this person picks up an apple from the person's fruit basket and starts eating it. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do once they've got a bite of an apple? Like put that back? And I'm like, who does? So you have to really take control of your showing. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you walk through, if the person keeps their shoes on, you say, excuse me, can you take your shoes off? Right? Like it's not your house. You can think that way. Well, it's not my house. Fine, no problem. But who's going to get in trouble for it? Not your client, you. If they say, hey, you know what, we just had it professionally clean and you tracked mud through the house or footprints through the house, right? So you have to take control of your client, take control of the showing. And there's, like I say, you do it in a nice way. Like you say, they don't necessarily let you walking behind them. I always say, oh, no, you go ahead. No problem. No, go ahead. You know what I mean? No, it's so nice. So you go ahead. No, you take the driveway. Like I'm doing you a favor, less to walk, right? It's not that, it's my safety, right? So, yeah.
It's right. It's jumping around on the staged property. Gotta be careful.
You got to be careful. I've had client slide down the basement stairs, miss the stair and slide down. We had someone with a baby in their hand.
Chocolate.
No, yeah, she ate the chocolate. Yeah, she ate the chocolate too. That's somebody else. That people are picking food out of people's houses. I don't get it. But we had someone with a baby and they've come down all the stairs. There was a landing and she missed the last step on the landing, fell with the baby in her hand. And we're like, oh my God, right? So yeah, definitely.
My client fell from this is a 3-story townhouse. It's a very narrow townhouse.
Yeah.
The staircase was very steep.
Yeah.
And he slipped and fell from up to down.
Up to down. So we had a client do that up to down to the basement stairs.
He's not the rain because he's wearing the socks.
Yeah.
Then,
And slipped.
because the floor they don't have the yes they have the grip thing, right? That's not there. So it's like luckily nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Well, as long as it's not your fault, as long as but yeah, definitely all things we can avoid. But I'll be your safety buddy. Anybody feel uncomfortable, call me anytime and tell me to get your red file if you're saying something weird to me on the phone. Even if we don't have a code word, but I'll say it's red file. Let's say red file for Remax Ace. Call me anytime and I'll be happy to scope out where you are. Anyways, everybody stay safe. I hope nothing happens. Precaution is better than cure though. So it's always good to be precautious. Everybody good online there?
Yeah.
Very good. Everybody take care this week. Next week, we have a guest speaker. So won't be me training, but everybody try and come to the office. I think the guest speaker is going to bring some treats or something probably. So
Okay.
yeah, next Tuesday.
whole week.
I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head because I booked her in a couple weeks ago, but yeah.
23rd is a different.
Yeah, 23rd, we're all meeting for head office meeting at Floga, just down the street. The Greek restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants in the area. So everybody RSVP and let me come. So I got to give the restaurant final numbers for the catering and everything. So all right, everybody have a lovely week. No. It's only going to be like 2 hours. It'll be like 11 to 12 speaker and then 12 we eat. We have lunch, so
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
no worries.
Sure, lunch matter.
No, don't just show up at 12. I'll kick you. I mean 11 we're serving. All right, everybody have a good week. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Christine.
you.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.